Where's all the money gone? I want my hubby. Where's all the money gone to, baby? No one's going to jail. State capture. Dirhams and sisters for sale, yeah. Okay, so cue the crazy. Would you prefer Quinn, or just cue the crazy? Well, how you doing, man?
No, well, I think most people find it easy just to call me Q. I don't mind Quentin. It's
Okay,
just that through the years, most people just shorten it to
Q.
Q.
All right.
Q Crazy, just the handle on TikTok.
Yeah,
Um,
sure.
like it was my disclaimer. So if I say crazy stuff, I can tell people, well, it's in the name, you know.
Well, yeah,
So
yeah, you
give me a
can't say
break.
you weren't warned. Exactly. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So, for those who don't know, Q, I sort of say I actually sent you a message, and thanks so much for getting back to me. And I was just saying to you now how much I sort of enjoy your content, TikTok. It can be really funny. It can be really serious. You've got quite a variety of stuff where you come through. And you're sort of fairly recent. Like I don't know how long you've been doing this for, but I started watching your stuff about a few months ago, and you kind of come up. But I don't know. Have you been in this a while?
I joined TikTok, I don't know, many years ago, and I didn't like it. I was
Mm,
too busy. My life was doing what my life was doing, and I probably downloaded it and deleted it, or maybe I had one or two videos. Then in 2022, the end of 2022, let's say, I don't know, I think it was 6th of December, somewhere around there, like the first week of December,
mm.
I got stabbed
Oh
and
yeah.
I landed up in hospital and I came out of hospital. They did surgery on my arm and on my leg, and they had to repair the artery. And I got really, really sick, and I was bedridden.
Mm,
And shortly after that, uh, I I don't know. I became more of a hermit, more of an introvert. A lot of my psyche changed because I used to
right.
be an extrovert, a socialite, and then
Mm,
after that experience, I don't know, my priorities shifted, and then I think I became more of a homebody, and because I was such a homebody, I needed some kind of tether to the outside world, and then
sure.
TikTok became that.
Okay.
So, so yeah, so I'd say from 2023 onward is my presence on TikTok was more. But prior to that, maybe I don't know, I was probably on there for a good 3 or 4 years prior to that, but hardly ever posting.
Sure. Sure. Okay. So you kind of it was kind of therapy thing, if anything, just to sanity maybe, so to get your extroverted sort of feelings sort of out there, I guess, to sort of communicate. And
Like a digital diary,
yeah.
a
Okay.
journal. That was completely my intention. I have a kid who's turning 13 in August, and he
Yeah,
lives in
congrats.
Ireland with his mom. So yeah, I hardly see him, but we do talk a lot online.
Mhm.
And there is so much about who I am that he will never see because we don't spend enough time together.
Mm.
So I figured one day, if anything happens to me, this digital medium that we have kind of like it saves your life in perpetuity going forward. And he could then have access to that, and he could say, "Oh well, these were the nooks and crannies of who my dad was."
Mm.
That's why, I mean, to go back to your original point of like, it's all over the place, my TikTok,
Mm.
and the reason it's all over the place is because I don't have an agenda
Yeah.
at all. You said the word therapy. It's therapeutic. It's when something comes on my mind, I might record it. Um, I even regret some of the things I've recorded because when I look back on it, something has changed. I might have changed or I might have learned something, but I don't delete it.
Yeah.
And I don't delete it because it's good for me to learn from, you know, past Q. I can go, okay, well, I was a different person back then. But also for my son, I want my son to see that that I'm what is the word everyone uses now? Authentic. That I'm trying to be
No,
authentic.
sure.
I can be full of shit, but I'm authentic,
Mm.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, but you're authentic in the knowledge that you are full of shit sometimes. But it's only sometimes, Q. Do you know what I mean? It's like there's some points where, for me, what I love about your content, you're the sort of guy who will go, do you know what? I'm wrong. I fucked it, and this is why. You'll sort of, and that's what I sort of like about that. But then, I think because of that, it gives you this platform to call out nonsense as well. You sort of, there's now and again. I mean, I can't stop. Cause again, I'm a terrible doom scroller sometimes, But you go there, and particularly your Barneys and Americans have just enjoyed that to kind of cover. What's it with America that's sort of so? Do you feel their bubbles burst with social media, that they've kind of lived in this environment of America, and so that it was their whole world, and then so things like TikTok or Facebook or whatever has just introduced them to, well, some like some white dude, Slavka. You live in Joburg, don't you?
Yeah, look,
So is that just burst their bubble somewhat, or do you think it's really sort of just opening up their horizons a bit to what's going on?
the reason I pick on America, and the reason I have such a problem with America, is because my life is interwoven with America, Americans, um, so much, and
Hmm.
we could do an entire several hours on this. So I'll just give you
Yeah.
some of the highlights.
Hmm.
Um, the first thing that I think that bothers me, and probably bothers a lot of people outside of America, but non-Americans, is that we were all like, I don't know what the word is, brainwashed or inundated with American culture growing up.
Oh,
American
agreed.
music, American movies,
Hmm.
American news.
Sure.
There's that saying, if
Sport.
if America sneezes, the world catches a cold, right?
Sure. Hmm.
So so I grew up. My earliest memories of movies were like Superman and whatever, American action heroes, MacGyver, that kind of
Mm.
thing. And that has an effect on our psyche because whatever the American culture was putting out, we were led to believe that that was. So, my idea of what a hero was growing up was
Hmm.
the American soldier or the American cop or
Sure.
the American MacGyver or
Hmm.
spy or whatever. The hero of mankind. As a country was America. So we already started life with a very distorted perception of what America was. And then as you get older, you learn more, and then you go, wait a minute, was I lied to? Was I lied to? And I think it happens with most people around the world. They go, okay, well, I had this idea of the American dream, but it's all marketing. But in
Mm.
my case, I take it a step further. I worked in America. I lived in America. My family have I have a half brother, and his side of the family are Mormons from the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints, American
Sure.
church.
Wow. Okay.
So I've had a lot of dealings with Mormons, American Mormons.
Mm.
My family life is very much tied into theirs. Separate to that, I've had dealings with the Church of Scientology,
Wow.
another American crazy church. I mean, we can
Sure.
talk for hours on that.
Were
So
you a
I've had
follower?
major dealings.
Were you a follower of both churches,
I,
or did you you just sort of associated through family?
Both. Okay, so what happened with let's start with the Mormons. So with the Mormons, my brother's father, because we have different fathers,
Hmm.
because half brother. My brother's father's family are Mormons, still around, and they're wonderful people, good, stunning human beings. So as a result, when my mother died and my life kind of took a direction. I could either go my mom's way, which were all gangsters and the nightlife, and she was a exotic dancer and stripper, and she owned escort agencies,
Hmm.
or I could lean towards my brother's family, which were all these good Christian Mormons.
Hmm.
So I would attend churches and I would go. So my life just, I suppose, vicariously or haphazardly just entered the Mormon
Yeah,
world.
yeah, yeah.
Um, and not all bad, not all bad. I mean, a
Mm.
lot of good, but
A
when you spend a
sensible
lot of time with these,
decision for a kid as well. You know, at the time, you as a kid, you're probably like, you probably it just made sense to do that.
yeah,
what's the
I mean, what choice did I have? It was
sure,
the the devil you know, the devil you don't.
yeah,
But in this case, at
exactly
least
on
the
the
devil I
shoulders.
don't know didn't look like the devil, you know.
Yeah, sure. No.
Uh, so that was that, and we can talk about that for hours too. I'll move on to Church of Scientology. So I taught kids musical theater for many, many, many years. I taught at the Johannesburg Youth Theater. I taught acting and singing for musicals,
Hmm.
and a lot of my students were um, children of Scientologists.
Right.
So just through my working with these students, and as I got older and eventually became adults, I dealt with their family. And a lot of my plays and musicals that I did were sponsored by the Church of Scientology. So I
Hmm.
had a kind of working business relationship with them. And
Right.
then as a result, you join and you do courses and you're like, well, they're helping me. I'm gonna give it a try. And I did, and I went deep, you know,
Yeah. Oh, did you go full retard?
and
Is
they suck you in.
that...
You know,
Yeah, they do. They do. Did you
it's
meet
like the
Tom
mafia,
Cruise?
man.
Yeah, it is.
Uh,
I've seen all the things on it. Obviously, I live in the Midrand area, so we've got Kyalami Castle,
mm,
and the Scientology Church has bought that and taken it over, and they've been sort of now and again. They sort of you'll see Scientologists, yeah, and they need services for their, I guess, their students, and like sort of dry
yeah,
cleaning, whatever. And you'll meet people in the pub here, and, oh, where you from? Oh, I'm doing a course up on the castle on the hill there. And yeah, they're definitely Midranders. They're part of Midrand now, definitely.
I joined the Sea Org. I don't know if you know what the Sea Org is.
No,
Have you ever heard of that?
no, never heard of
Okay,
it.
so I'll leave it to your listeners and to you to look that up. It's called the Sea Org. Org is short for organization. I won't go into details about what it means. It's very strange. It's kind of like the inner sanctum of the Church of Scientology. I joined them for a while, and I was part of the team, the finance team that was part of the negotiations for the buying of the Kailami Castle.
Oh wow,
This was
okay,
back in the early 2000s. I don't know, 2008, 9, 10, somewhere around there.
sure.
So I was there when they purchased it. And I was part of the team then later on that helped get all of that ready. And then shortly after that, I became aware of the crazy stuff of Scientology because when you're that deep into it, they two things happen. They block you or they forbid you from researching the church because they call it propaganda or anti-church sentiment. And if
Mhm.
somebody approaches you and says, "Look, the church is bad," they call those people SPs or suppressive persons. So they
Mhm.
block you from getting this information. But if you do get this information, you can compare it to the things you're learning in the church because I was that deep into it. And when I started to see, oh shit, the things that I'm saying are real because I can see it for myself. I was there a few months, just kind of like learning as much as I could, pretending like all was hunky dory, and then I left like that. And
Mhm.
then yeah, and that was a battle in itself.
Sure.
Because my ex-wife,
Hmm.
the mother of my child, her family are like royalty in Scientology. So when
Ah,
it came to the divorce with my wife and getting custody of my son or losing custody of my son, the Church of Scientology was very much involved. So
right. Had you left
so
by that
so
point?
again,
Had you left the church by that point?
yeah. Well, I didn't officially. Nobody knew I was like anti the church.
Okay,
A few people knew, my ex-wife knew,
mm,
but I think how do I put it? The situation was all at the same time. The volatility with my wife, the nearing the divorce, the trying to get custody of my son, all had to do with the fact that I was pulling away from the church.
Right.
If that makes any sense. So
Sure.
it all kind of happened at the same time.
Okay.
Um, and maybe it's difficult to say, but maybe one was responsible for the other. My issues with my wife might have made the issues with the church a problem, or the issues with the church might have made the issues with my wife a problem, so on and so forth. So they're very much like intertwined. Even till today, they're somewhat intertwined. I don't have any more dealings with the Church of Scientology, and I went through a period where I was very much anti them, and I think they declared me as an SP, probably.
Okay. Sure.
So yeah.
It's
But anyway, so that to tell you that that was again that was the an American church, and I was dealing
mm,
with American people and American politics, and
yeah,
uh,
sure.
it was crazy.
So in a way, you might have an agenda as well, in a subtle way.
I
I wouldn't blame
I
you if you
have
did. I wouldn't
no,
blame you if you did.
not an agenda, but I will say this. I have no problem admitting to the parts of myself that are human.
Sure.
I have prejudice. I have bias. I believe favoritism exists.
Mm,
I think that to say that everything needs to be equal and fair is a beautiful ideal, but it is not natural to our human psyche. So I try to be realistic about that. So if you're hurt by something over and over and over again, you're going to develop a distaste for it. And then you're going to be overly critical. And you're also going to be hyper vigilant about other things. So if a snake bites you and then bites you again and bites you again, you become an expert on snakes.
hmm
So I think that you're right, but it's not an agenda. I don't set out to attack the Americans, but their shadow is cast on me, whether it's politics or
Well,
TikTok or in my life, I can't bite my tongue. I speak my
sure.
mind and I speak it quickly.
Yeah, good. And I'm
Yeah.
glad you do. I'm glad you do. Okay, so that's quite interesting. Backs from Mormons to Scientologists. I'm just got in my
Mm.
head America Primeval on Netflix. That show with the sort of the settling.
Great show.
Yeah, really, really well shot in that. And obviously, this introduction was brand new for me, and it was probably like history you know about. But the settling of the Mormons in I can't remember what state it was off the top of my head during those times.
Sean, I think I've lost you there. Yeah,
Okay,
hello?
hello, can you hear me? Oh, there he is. Sorry, you're right.
Yeah,
Can
you
you
were
back?
talking about American Primeval.
Yeah, so the big theme of it and some of the central characters are the sort of that period of America's history, which I knew nothing, completely ignorant about the settling
Yeah.
of the Mormons church. I can't remember which state it was in. I assume it was one of those Western states, but
Utah. It's
Utah.
Utah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and just what they sort of the whole settling now for me, it's obviously you need to be aware of, dramatic, sort of putting in information to sort of make a movie interesting as opposed to the truth, sort of which is creative license. But how violent was that period for the Mormon Church? They kind of made them look like aggressors in the America Primeval and settling, but I guess everyone
Yeah.
were in a way. How accurate is that show to kind of that history of the Mormons settling in Utah, if you are aware of it?
It's accurate, but you said something so true. You said, they do like this artistic license to make it dramatic, okay?
Mm,
So you could have made the exact same film with many of the facts being the same, but just made the Mormons out to be the good guys. and
Sure.
everyone else to be the bad guys.
Yeah.
You could have done that
Mm.
because when the Mormons tell the story of the oppression that they received in those early days with Brigham Young and Joseph Smith, when they recount it, they say they had no choice. They were pushed out of town to town to town. People were harassing them, people were hurting them. They killed Joseph Smith, who was the prophet of the church before Brigham Young. So American Primeval picks up with Brigham Young. Brigham Young took over from Joseph Smith, who was the founder of the church.
Right.
Joseph Smith was killed, he was assassinated. So,
Mm.
from the point of view of the Mormons were like pushed from pillar to post, and everyone was attacking them, and they were hurting them, and
Mm.
killing the men, and accusing them of being blasphemous to God because they're creating a new religion. So, I just gotta emphasize this. When you watch a movie like American Primeval, they're making the Mormons out to look like the aggressor.
Completely.
But we weren't there. I wasn't there.
Mm.
You weren't there. The the Mormons would say no, they were just defending themselves, and they had no choice but to create a militia to defend the church and to defend the honor of the men and the women and the children
Mm.
or whatever else. But that being said, the Mormons do acknowledge the fact that it was a very bloody, terrible time in their history because they moved from New York, like I think New York state, they moved across America. It's like the American version of the Kruger Track kind of a
Hmm.
thing,
Gotcha.
until eventually they landed up in Utah, and they made Utah their home. So yeah,
Promised land.
it was a terrible time.
Yeah, sure. And this is what we I think they leave out. I think we assume like our ancestors in the past. I think we have no idea just the sort of the absolute horrific daily violence, exposure to violence our ancestors had, no matter what culture you're from, so they go. And what I did appreciate, not enjoy, but appreciate about American Private was that sort of acknowledgement of that, just that daily fear. And I remember having a chat with someone about the sort of that trauma is in our DNA almost, I watched a movie the other night. It's called Megan about a
Mm.
robot. And in the scene,
Oh yeah, I
Meg,
saw it. It was great.
yeah, it's a great
I
movie.
loved
Yeah.
it.
You know that scene where she goes on all fours and starts chasing that bully, that sent a chill down my spine. It was a silly movie, but there's something about a four-legged creature chasing this
Absolutely. Yeah.
that's put me into like some sort of primal mode, and I think that's where the horror films are so popular, and but I think that sort of goes in, and people have no real. There was a movie, a series called Godless. I went through this Western phase. Primeval kicked me off actually,
Mm.
and Godless as on this town and it was just this sort of threats of violence all the time, on everyone, men and women, animals. Just and it was yeah, as you said, just if you weren't aggressive and prepared for violence, like you were taken out very very quickly, and sort of, with the Mormon Church, as you said, they had no option really, given
Mm.
the sort of society of the time.
I think there's two things I want to say yet about the time period we live in now comparatively to years gone by. There, if you objectively think about it, and this is another thing that annoys me about young Americans, especially young Americans. Objectively speaking, we have never lived in an easier time, a better time. It's comparatively to the 1800s, 1700s, 1600s, it is very difficult unless you really screw up. It is very difficult to die a violent death
Hmm.
in 2025. I know people do. I know there's war-ridden countries, but I'm saying a country like America, the average American, they're living in the lap of luxury comparatively to their ancestors.
Oh,
They
sure.
have very little to complain about. The average American complains to this degree where they've only got like their problems are here, but they complain over here.
Hmm.
And if they just zoomed out and looked at their own history, if they looked at the history of the world, man, they're lucky. They're so
Hmm.
lucky that they live in that country at this time with so many options available to them. Why they complain so much, bothers the shit out of me.
Mm.
Um, but the other thing I want to say is that, and this is true for South Africa too, and probably any country in the world. Every one of our ancestors, every one of our ancestors, whether you're white, black, colored, Indian, Japanese, Chinese, Korean, it doesn't matter. Every one of our ancestors could have been part of a group that were either good or bad. We can't all claim to be part of a lineage that was perfect.
Sure.
The only thing we know for sure is that our ancestors survived. That we know because we're here. We have an unbroken chain of ancestry. That we know. But if you pick a moment in history, my ancestors could have been Roman warriors or could have been Slavic slaves. Who knows? So on and so forth. So when you look at a history within the context of the time of history, you realize that at some point we were all the villain and we were all the hero, and it just depends on who's telling the story.
Yeah,
You know,
sure.
our ancestors could have been bad, our ancestors could have been good, and
Mm.
it could have changed depending on the time. And it's a very dangerous game to compare the life we have now to what happened 100 or 200 or 300 years ago as an unbroken chain of events that got us here. And I think this is what America does wrong, but so does South Africa, is we tend to think tribally as our ancestry, my
Hmm.
history as a white South African, or their history as a white American, or as a black American, or as a black South African, is is the one that was in the right, and everyone else was in the wrong.
Yeah,
Mine was right, and you were wrong. That's just not true. If you look at history, depending on who wrote that history, you can say that every culture on planet Earth, every culture had its moment where they were the bad guys,
sure.
or the good guys, or the winners of a war, or the losers of a war,
Mm.
and um, and that's what I love about history. Also, like you said, you know, you watch a lot of westerns and things, and you look at those movies and you go, wow, I don't know if I would have survived back then. That's
Yeah,
tough, man. There was no hot water and people were dying of dysentery and
yeah.
disease and all sorts of things. And you say the wrong word, it's cowboy laws, you just get killed. So we're very lucky to be alive, I
I
think.
mean, I think the human race, we've only been, shitting inside, what, 60 years?
Yeah.
You know, hot showers inside, it's been long. I can't even imagine my life I've never lived without a geyser, you know. I'm just trying to imagine life
No, but
without a geyser.
you can, Sean, you can. Think about
I
it.
don't want to,
Haven't you
Q.
ever had water? Haven't you ever had water restrictions
Yeah,
or
no.
load shedding?
Yeah, I've had both. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Days and end here in
Well, there we
Midrand
go.
sometimes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Days and end. Yeah, no. Here's the thing with that. It's funny you say that because the last time we had no water here, that was it was more I was caught unaware. And then I got my shit
Yeah.
together, got the water sorted. I had water in, you go to Midrand's full of boreholes everywhere, so getting
Yeah.
water is not a problem. So, and obviously with the Bowsers and, the Bowsers. Anyway, so they come in
Mm.
and I then got sorted. So the first 2 days was awkward and that, and you start changing the way you view your shopping. So you said they, okay,
Yes,
all right.
significantly.
Okay. So I had a bucket. I put a bucket in the shower, cleaned in the shower, just, good cloth and soap, and you just clean it.
Mm.
You don't need to sit in a shower for 10 minutes with this water and you just sitting there
Exactly.
slowly cleaning yourself. And it was quick and efficient and it was hygienic and man, the water was saving as well. I was using if I was using 25 liters a day, it was a lot. I just needed to clean my myself and my dishes in the evening. Obviously, I didn't get to the point where I'd run out of clothes, so then I was sitting by the river, singing gospel songs, sort of cleaning my clothes at a rock. But but I didn't get to that point. But yeah, no, I agree with you. And the sort of do you think,
Yeah.
some men said, do you think comfort actually causes a sort of a form of depression where we just feel useless? Maybe.
Yes. Yes, yes, I do. I wanted to say about
Mm.
load shedding, and then connected to load shedding during COVID. But let's talk load shedding. Load shedding changed my life for the better. Because, like you said, in the beginning, you're caught unprepared. Water restrictions or no electricity, you don't know what to do. You're like, it's inconvenient. But
Mm.
when it becomes part of your life,
Yeah.
you change what you do. For example, I'm just going to show you. So this is my garden, right? See this garden,
Yeah. Awesome.
right?
Yeah.
That garden exists because of load shedding.
Okay.
Because when we had huge amounts of load shedding consistently, I got used to putting my phone down because I didn't want the battery to run flat. There's no internet, and I'd go garden and I'd spend more time outdoors. And I did that for so long that it's just become part of my everyday life now.
Okay.
I've got water saved up. I've got these big tubs of water saved up, and I've got all my torches and my battery packs. So I think load shedding for many of us in South Africa, including I want to say COVID, for many of us woke us up to the realization that we shouldn't take things for granted
Mm.
and that we shouldn't be complacent.
Mm.
And I think in many ways South Africa has benefited from the load shedding.
Mm.
Individually, we've benefited. I know it's terrible. I know hospitals sometimes lose power and people can die. I know that, and I'm not excusing the fact that it's happening. I'm saying it shouldn't
Mm.
happen, but shit happens, right?
Mm.
If you
Yeah.
look at it like that,
In the sense of personal growth, you're saying kind of.
absolutely personal
Mm.
growth, and it got me to realize every day is precious. But when we get too comfortable with things, we become entitled. And I think the biggest problem I have with the world right now is entitlement.
Hmm.
We think we're entitled to the privileges and the luxuries and the rights that we have as human beings. Those things only exist because people fought for them and people implemented them.
Mm.
There is no such thing as an intrinsic right. The
Yeah.
only right you have is to do your best and survive. You know, and I think that, like you said, comfort in the world, take it back to America. Americans complain a hell of a lot. It drives me insane. Where they have very little to complain about
Hmm.
comparatively to a country, say, like South Africa. You know, our power goes out, we have a braai, we make jokes about it, we laugh, we
Escom
complain, yeah,
jokes.
sure, we complain. And we make ESCOM jokes,
Yeah.
and we kind of band together as a country. Sometimes at the worst of times, we come together and we somehow make a plan, which I
Hmm.
think is beautiful. Um, and I don't know. I just think that South Africans have benefited internally from having so much to worry about for so long. If there was a apocalypse right now in the world,
Hmm.
if we lost power and we lost water, I think South Africa would be one of the countries that would find it the easiest at this point to survive. A
And
country
adapt
like
to it.
America would be in chaos.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely. Definitely. I think as well, even if you notice with the young sort of South Africans going overseas and just dominating, some they're going somewhere like America and just doing great, and again, I think sort of coming from this environment where where sort of work is, and when you do have a job, it's like, wow, I got a job, nice one. You know what I mean? It's sort of appreciate, as you said, that's that appreciation of and going somewhere
Mm,
like
mm,
America and where things work, the post works. You can send a letter. And the letter will
yeah.
get there. Shame a friend of mine in England. She asked for my address, and I didn't ask why. I think she's just she tried to post something to me, the post box, and I was a CD, and eventually, about 9 months later, I got a little post. I used my parents' post box. They still got a post box,
Yeah.
little thing. Oh, please go to Boulder's shopping center and collect your package. So I go to Boulder's shopping center, and they go, "Oh, we sent that back months ago." So I was like, "All right, cool."
Oh,
Like, yeah, it's just like, so just little things like that with the infrastructure's falling, and then I'm just seeing in friends, personal friends, but then also, people going overseas. Isn't two of the richest people in America like South Africans? At the moment,
Mm,
apparently, I heard
mm,
that quote. Obviously, Elon. I can't remember who the other guy was. And yeah, I think on your point, it's the sort of environments creating these sort of very sort of logical, sort of ambitious people. I don't know if it's a
mm.
good thing or not. It's not a great thing for our economy, particularly trying to sort of create the sort of new middle class here. But I don't know. It seems, on your point, I've never thought of it that way. It is creating a sort of a really rock solid human being when they go into sort of easier environments. They seem to be doing very well.
Yeah, South Africans thrive in the United States. There was a time many years ago, I read an article, they called, it's more than 10, 15 years ago, they called Atlanta little RSA in the USA.
Oh wow.
And the community of South Africans were doing so exceptionally well. Also in Canada, Canada, they say that the best doctors, the stereotype of good doctors are South African doctors. They say if you want a good doctor, go to a South African doctor. That's what the
Right.
Canadians say. And then I'm not surprised Donald Trump wants South African farmers
I'm not either.
to go there because we're the hardest working, most grateful, wonderful people. They
Mm.
love us in the
Yeah.
Midwest of America. They think we're
So.
exceptional, and it's so true. South Africans are internationally known as extremely hard workers. That's why we sought after. It's not good,
Mm,
like you said, it's not good for our country,
mm,
but it's because of our country. Our country produces exceptional human beings because we. I mean, you never know where you are in this country. Like 1 minute it's load shedding, then it's water, then it's petrol price increase or decrease or whatever it is, or potholes, and it keeps us on our toes. And
mm.
in a strange roundabout way, I'm telling you, it makes us exceptional people. Um, but I got to be cautious with me saying that because I don't want people now to hear, oh, so a failing economy and a failing country is good for you. It can be good for you, but it can also be bad for you. And I don't want to excuse the corruption that we have. Um, it's one thing if you find yourself in a situation like COVID where we're all in the same boat. None of us know what's going on. We're trying to figure it out, but there is no excuse for, say, ESCOM failing because of corruption,
Hmm.
because of whatever ESCOM mafia or
Sure.
people pocketing money. There's no excuse for that. That's
Mm.
evil.
So tell you
That
what,
means
we,
we're
we have run out of
suffering. Yeah.
time. So why don't we bring that up in the
Okay.
next part two? If you got time for a part two
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
morning.
Sure.
All right, cool. So let me just set that. All right. So stay with Q and Sean, and yeah, we'll be back for part two. Tune in.
Jacob needs a new car, park it by the fire pool, yeah. Jacob needs a new car, helping the